likelihood model, elaboration likelihood model, Hilman Omar.
Thank you very much, Pranika, Toastmaster of the evening. Imagine a debate concerning an important and crucial topic happening in campus. Obviously, in a debate, there's two speakers. On one side, you have someone who's very logical, who has strong arguments, well-structured presentations of whatever research he has, but he can be a bit boring. Then on the other side, you have someone who, I would say, a charmer, who's very charming. He makes the audience laugh, he makes the audience remember him, but when you really think about his points, they're not really that strong. So, in this debate, who do you think would impact the audience, influence the audience the most here? The logician or the charismatic one?
Charismatic.
Well, you would say that, but it actually all depends on one aspect, and that's the audience. And this is the central point of elaboration likelihood model. Very good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Hilman, and what I would like to share is something that I've learned from one of my modules, and I would like to share this to you in terms of persuasion, the elaboration likelihood model. So, and I want to share with you what is it about and how we can apply this to benefit ourselves, maybe in our everyday life, maybe in our attempts of persuasion. So, going to the question, what is elaboration likelihood model? What is ELM? ELM is dual process theory coined by Richard E. Petty and John Cacioppo, and which basically states that how we process persuasion depends on how invested we are. Elaboration in this case is about how much thought you put in. So it's really about, oh, this topic interests me, so I'm giving it a lot more thought. Oh, this topic doesn't interest me, and I don't really care much about it. In elaboration likelihood model, there are basically two paths that a person would take, which is the central path and the peripheral path. So in the central path, this is where people take full consideration of the logic, the arguments, how strong the research is, how hefty the arguments are. So they focus more on the content, and this takes a lot of time. Meanwhile, for the peripheral path, if people don't really care about the topic, they aren't really interested in giving much thought, so they focus much more on superficial aspects. Is the speaker pretty? Is the speaker really funny? Is the commercial so fancy that you want to buy the product? And this is a very easy, quick way of grabbing the audience and getting them to say yes to you. So, going back to the debate question, let's say that for the topic, people are so interested in the topic. They're really engrossed in it. So if that's the case, who do you think would win this debate? The logician or the charismatic person?
Logician.
Yeah, and that would be true the other way around. If the topic might not be of interest to the audience, then most probably the charismatic person, the charming person, will probably win the debate, has more influence on the debate. So we know these two paths that people will take when it comes to persuasion. But why is it so important that we know these two paths? Well, there is a stark difference. When someone processes something, when there is a change in attitude going through the central route, when you really think about it, and it takes a long time, your change of attitude is actually strong and enduring, which means any other forms of persuasion outside, counter arguments from opposing teams or any other changes, it remains the same. It won't change a lot. It's very enduring. And the behavior of your audience will be more predictable, which is something that can be important to some of you. So in terms of marketing, you would say this person, you would garner a loyal customer. In terms of peripheral path, although it might be very easy to grasp your audience's attention, it's actually very flaky. So easy come, easy go. So your audience, even though they might enjoy your speech or enjoy whatever you're trying to tell them, they might change their minds very easily because your ideas might not be as concrete, and they're not really thinking a lot of the content, but more on your delivery. So with that being said, for you as a speaker, for you as a marketing person, for you as anyone who can persuade, if you want to have a stronghold, if you want your audience to be loyal customers, if you want your audience to not change their minds after you said anything, then obviously you want to shift whoever is in the peripheral to the central route. So how do you do this? According to according to elaboration likelihood model, this comes in two factors. Changes comes in two factors: motivation and ability. Motivation is pretty much how it relates to your everyday life. It's like, is this topic relevant to myself? Is this topic relevant to what I'm going to do? Sometimes there's also exterior aspects. For example, maybe on the day that you were giving the speech, the audience didn't woke up on the wrong side of the bed or didn't have lunch, so she doesn't have as much energy, and obviously they're not gonna give much effort or energy into thinking about your points, even if they're really good, even if they're really solid. And in terms of ability, it's actually pretty simple. As long as you make it understandable, you are able, the audience can process it well enough, and they can process your information more, basically. So just make it understandable. These are pretty simple terms, so just make it relatable and frame it in a way that your audience can understand. So let's say you're going back to the debate, and this time around, you are a logician. You have so much points. In that case, what you would want to do is, if the topic is not of interest to you, to the audience, then what you can do is try to link it to how it relates to the audience in their everyday life. Let's say the debate calls for no bubble gum. It might not be a big deal to some of you, but what about smokers who are trying to quit in the campus and they need all the bubble gum they can have on campus? Who knows? I don't know about smoking. But so you might want to frame it in that way, and obviously you also want it to be something that the audience can understand. So, ladies and gentlemen, in persuasion, it's not just about the persuader, it's also about the audience. When you think about wanting to have a stronghold of your audience, you do want to make it relatable and relevant and easily understandable to whoever you're trying to direct your points to. And that hopefully, I hope what I have shared with you, you can have some use to it. Maybe in whatever aspects in your life. I hope you enjoyed it. And with that, back to you, Pranika.